What is going on, Niner faithful? We are back live. I've been live like literally every day. I got my boy Aaron from First Take 49ers with me. We're going to talk about everything on free agency. We're going to recap everything that's happened so far. I want to get his take on it and just get right into everything. It's been a busy, busy, busy week, man. How the hell are you doing, Aaron? What's up, man?
Other than surgery yesterday, it was nice to see that the Niners were somewhat active previously the day before, so that kind of gave me a good feeling going into it. I was hoping maybe they would land another edge rusher when I came out of my days from the anesthesia, but that didn't happen. But the Niners have been doing a lot of uh, retooling and kind of replacing some guys. Not sexy moves, but necessary moves. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And the 49ers, what I said earlier in my show is this is what they do. They go get these B-list players. They develop them. They get the most out of them. They're cheap, like Walmart priced guys,
Right.
and then they get the most out of them. Like a Chris Kasurik, a defensive line coach, is going to get so much out of like a guy like Omenahu and Eddie Cam, and they got paid. And now he's going to do the same thing with Clelin Ferrell. He did it with Arden Key. He did it with Kerry Hyder. So 49ers are okay with taking these bargain basement guys. And we sit here and we're going, they need the splashy guys. Like sometimes you do. They made a splash, but they also get their discount guys. Because the 49ers, they lost role players. Most of their guys, they lost role players. So you just replace a role player with a role player. And I feel like the 49ers, they know the system. They do it every year. And then when you lose a player that gets paid, you're going to get a compensatory pick. So the 49ers are doing it just the way they've been planning. They know the system. They know how it works. They lose coaches, get comp picks. You replace players with comp picks. You develop them. Once they get to the point, if they're not an elite player that you develop, you let them go for money. If it's an elite player, you extend them. So that's the plan. The Niners do it well. And so far, I think the 49ers have done a great job in free agency. First question today, what is your grade? What is your overall grade for the 49ers so far in free agency based on what we just said?
I would see a B minus.
Okay.
I'd say a B minus.
B minus. Explain why B minus. I feel it a little higher.
Hargrave really. That's a needle mover. That's a elite level, top of the market defensive tackle, and they went and got him, which did not expect. I thought it was going to be another run of the mill, kind of middle of the pack kind of defensive tackle, and maybe spend more money on edge, but they kind of did it opposite, and they went and spent money, at least for now, on the interior. And other than the man who got paid in Washington prior to free agency, he was the best out there. And the fact that they landed him, and I didn't expect it, and coming from the NFC champion who went to the Super Bowl last year, not bad. Next to Nick Bosa, two guys that'll command double teams at some point in time.
Yeah.
That just it puts a lot more pressure on the peripheral guys who are maybe not as big name or sexy, to kind of like, hey, listen, you have an opportunity to make something out of yourself because you got two guys that are going to be sucking up double teams. So
100%.
To me, it was a great move. Some of the re-signs, Brendel, I'm fine with that. A lot of people are like, oh, he sucks, it's horrible. McKivitz, speaking of the devil, he's probably got an update. Let's see, who else? I mean, the B minus, I would have loved if they would have kept Mosley. Unfortunately, Mosley didn't happen, so that's where my minus comes from. And it's kind of it's to be determined, right? Because we don't know what's next. Could they be done? Could they be ready to go into the draft now? I mean, I don't think they're done. I think they have one more move left in them. I'd like to see an edge player, even if it's like a Floyd or a Justin Houston, maybe somebody a little long in the tooth, maybe not as prolific as, say, like I don't know. Everybody's like, yeah, we got to go get Ngakwe, or we got to go get this guy. I'm like, that's going to cost us a lot of money. So we got to have money to pay Bosa at some point. So
you got to have money for Bosa, and then the million draft picks we're going to have next month. 11 draft picks. So I agree with that. I agree. Like, yes, and again, I would love Ngakwe. That's like my top guy that's left on the market. But I think you're right, because what did we just talk about? The Niners like to go on the bargain basement and get these cheaper guys, and then get the most out of them, stretch them out. So maybe a Justin Houston guy is a guy that they look into, and I'd be happy with that. Calais Campbell, maybe, something like that, an older guy that's going to come in for less money. and chase a ring with the team. They're not going to go for a guy that's still relatively young at the peak and going to command a lot of money because they just lost, again, Ebukam and Charles Omenihu. They got paid a combined $47 million, Aaron. $47 million for those two guys. They're not going to pay a guy that much money because they can go in the draft and develop. And people forget, they still have a guy named Drake Jackson who I'm expecting him to get a lot of snaps. I'm expecting him to take a big leap. Kyle Shanahan challenged him. He said, get stronger, get better, put yourself in position to win next year. And I think he's going to take the challenge. He's been working out every day. I see his stories. I've talked to him. He says he's grinding. So I definitely think that people are forgetting about that guy. He's the guy they drafted in the second round last year. But going back to what you said about Hargrave, so my grade overall for the 49ers offseason so far, I'm going to give it a solid B, a little bit higher than a B minus, a solid B. And again, because the A-plus smash signing was Hargrave. We talked about this before. We talked about how the 49ers need a defensive line or an edge. Remember, we both said that's a big priority. They didn't get Hargrave. They didn't get Daron Payne, the big guy. That was the big guy on the market. But number 2 was Javon Hargrave.
He's not bad.
That is amazing. That's the number 2 defensive tackle in the market. And you take him away from your biggest competitor in the NFC, the Eagles. You take a strength from them and make it one of your strengths. You weaken them a little bit, and you make your strength even stronger. Your number 1 defense, how do you make it better? By putting another elite guy out there. You give Bosa some help, which he desperately needed. You give Armstead some help. In 2019, when they made it to the Super Bowl, that defensive line was just amazing. You know, you had Buckner, you had Armstead, you had Bosa, and then you had Ford. So I think if Drake Jackson can give you that D Ford speed off that edge on the other side, you recreated it. So I love the move of Hargrave. You're going to have to double him, and he can get sacks up the middle on that 3-tech. You got sacks on the outside. Nick Bosa and Hargrave combined for 30 sacks last year together. Now they're on the same team. Absolutely amazing. Another stat that we threw around, Javon Hargrave, he had more pressures by himself than any 49er defensive lineman combined other than Arik Armstead. So it's incredible what he did in the middle. And I don't know how people are going to have to, I don't know how they're going to block that. And it makes it easier for a guy like Clelin Ferrell now and a guy like Drake Jackson to get single coverage. And again, I expect them to get 5 sacks each, just like Ebukam and Omenihu did. So to me, phenomenal move. And it's just that's the needle mover. Like you said, the needle mover was Javon Hargrave. To me, as an A-plus move. And I feel like the 49ers surprised everybody. Nobody thought they were going to make that splash. And I think that's why it was like, wow, that was the biggest move of that day. Yeah. And the contract was very, very nicely worked. You know, the cap hit isn't too bad.
Pretty pedestrian if you look at it.
Yeah.
It's basically a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
With 2 out years, $40 million guaranteed. That's not bad considering he had an option to go somewhere where they were going to pay him a lot more money.
Yeah.
I think it was Cleveland. If I was him, I would have chose the Niners too. First of all, better weather. And second of all, better team around you. So, and you got an offense on the other side that's got freaking Christian McCaffrey, Debo, and Ayuk and Kittle. I mean, how much easier can your job get if everybody stays healthy? That's kind of the caveat. Stay healthy. This team has a chance to go a long way.
Stay healthy. We say it every year. And if they stay healthy.
The Niners' biggest opponent, besides who they line up against on the field, is their own bodies breaking down. That's why I think the NFL should have 2 bye weeks at some point. I would like to see that. Maybe week 6 and week 14 or something.
I like that. Because it's a grind of a season. Players get hurt. They lengthen the season. I definitely think that would be smart. Right. Give them a little bit more rest in between. It's a hell of a year, man. These players get hurt. By the playoffs, man, they're just dragging ass. You know, survival of the fittest. Just like we talked about Nick Bosa, man. He was just so gassed out by that playoff run. You know, he didn't really have that Nick Bosa type playoff season to carry that team. So again, that's another reason why having Javon Hargrave is going to help out so much for this defense. So to me, that was a massive move. 49ers lost players. I mean, was there any surprises to you? Again, I pretty much saw most of those coming. The one that I guess surprised me, probably Emmanuel Mosley. I thought we were going to be able to retain him.
Me too.
$6
you can't overpay for a guy that's been injured 2 years in a row. You just can't. If he wants the money, let him have it. He's not dependable. He's really good when he's on the field, and he's really effective considering where, what his story is. But if a guy's asking for $6 to $8 million and he missed the majority of the last 2 seasons, You got to part ways.
You got to, and I hate to say it, you're right, but I love him so much.
Me
Great
too.
player.
He's
Story was
really
amazing.
good.
Undrafted free agent, worked his way up. But you're absolutely right, Aaron. He just never stayed healthy, and you can't justify paying him $6 million when you know you can get a guy and develop him out of. He was undrafted. The chances of them getting another undrafted guy and develop him up the roster is very high because they do it every single year. So I love him, but hey, I'm happy he got his money. He's coming off a torn ACL. $6 million is actually a little pricey.
A little high.
Yeah.
$6 million for a guy who blew out his ACL, and he might not be available till when? Like,
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I agree, and I pray that he stays healthy. I want him to do so good. I'm hoping he does good. Like all these guys that left, I want him to be successful.
Me too.
I'm happy
not
they got
hating
paid.
on anybody.
Yeah,
my whole thing is the two defensive linemen. I think Amenahu and Ebicom are both replaceable. I really do. I don't think either of them really like played out their gourd last year where they're like, you gotta keep these guys. There was a lot of average defensive line play.
Yeah.
Other than Bosa and Armstead when he was healthy. There was a lot of just we're okay.
Yeah. Like Amenahu, again.
Yeah.
I like those two guys. They played well, but again, Chris Kasurik made them look better than they are. They got, again, I like to throw this number out because I need people to have perspective. $47 million for those two guys combined. It's crazy. Samson Ebicam, I liked him. The guy had no pass rush move. He didn't have any pass rush. He just ran right at it.
Ran at tackles. Hi, I'm gonna run at a tackle every single play. Woo! Like, what's your plan? You have a plan? No, you don't have a plan. You're just gonna stand there and do this.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But yeah, like you said, I think you gotta be real with yourself. That's why you can't get attached to these players. I love them when they're here, but let them. I'm happy he got $27 million, $11 million on his first year. I am happy. Somehow, some team saw his battering ram approach and says, we're going to pay you $11 million to be a battering ram. I'm loving it for him.
Can you just lean on the team's other offensive tackle? Just lean on them. That's all you got to do.
That's it. Real quick, shout out to the chat. Thanks for everybody hopping in. Make sure
going on, everyone.
Button. What's up, everybody? We got Ted, we got Media, we got Flood, we got them all, man. What's up, everybody?
Sorry if I'm a little far away from the microphone. Do I sound all right still?
You sound great, man. You sound
good. I'm resting the leg out. I'm straightening it out. So
you got to keep it elevated. You got to keep it elevated, Aaron. You got to keep it elevated.
I have the table, but it's too far. I should have brought a stool down here.
You should have. You should have put a table up there, elevate it, and then put an ice pack.
Where's my maid? Oh, I don't have one. Never mind. I'm not rich.
Put an ice pack on it. So next time, I'm gonna need you to elevate that bad boy up, put it on a stool, and then just put an ice pack, and then just chill. Yeah. And do the show like this.
I actually did the icing right before the show.
Okay, that's good.
And I had it elevated on my bed. I was sitting. I had a pillow underneath it, so I was kind of doing this deal. I'll probably like when I go right before I go to bed. I'll take my Oxy again.
Okay, that's good.
And I'll ice it up again for
ice
the last time tonight.
I'm going to give you some exercises for you, so that way you have something to keep your mind busy while you're talking about 49ers and stuff. So transitioning, talking about injuries, that brings me to a guy that we talked about, Javon Hargrave. There's another Javon on this team, Javon Kinlaw, and it's kind of like his last-ditch effort. They brought in, Hargrave, and there's been a lot of talk about how, the 49ers brought in Hargrave to basically right their wrong for DeForest Buckner. They traded him, and then they went and got Javon Kinlaw, and to me, this is his last chance. A lot of people are saying they're going to trade him or cut him. Cutting him doesn't make sense, but what's your take on what they should do with Kinlaw? I think they're going to maybe try to package him in a deal during the draft. If they can't, here's training camp. If you can come in, be healthy, you'll be part of this rotation because they do have 11 players on the line. If you can't figure it out, then it's the end of the line. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm not impressed with the social media swatting at fly thing that he was doing. Like, I don't care. I really don't care about that. That impresses nothing because you don't do it on the field and you're never healthy. No offense. I don't care what was that? I don't even understand that. Is that a real move? Is that like swatting at reporters that are 115 pounds to get out of your way? Yeah, get out of my way. I'm gonna knock your hat off. So to me, it's this. Yeah, this is they already the Niners told him what they thought. You don't bring in a guy for 4 years, $84 million, and have the guy who he's going to be pretty much taking the job from. You're saying to him is, yeah, we kind of brought in your replacement, and if you play well enough and you do well in the offseason, you might be a rotational piece. He's beat. He's gone after this year. I see no way they bring him back. If they're going to bring anybody back, we know it's probably going to be Ayuk. And Ayuk has proven that he belongs in the NFL. He's gotten progressively better every single year, whereas Kinlaw, it's always this nothing ever improving. And I'm sorry, it's a dog world in the NFL, man. If you're healthy and if you're productive, you'll always have a place. If you're always injured and never on the field, and then when you're on the field, you're kind of just like whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't expect much out of him this year. If he can be if he can make himself be a decent rotational piece, maybe he finds life on another team after the fact. But that's even if he makes it. To me, this is what the Niners did when they brought in Quan Alexander to say, hey, we screwed up on Reuben Foster.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
No, I agree. It's best ability is your availability. And
Right.
the 49ers have missed on several times, and they know they got to right their wrongs. And I agree 100%.
They don't waste a lot of time like, oh, we're going to stick at this guy. Well, no.
Solomon Thomas, that's another guy.
Yeah.
Did with Solomon Thomas. And moving forward, so they got another guy that can be part of this rotation. Again, and they can replace you with anybody. So my man, 49er Minded, what's up, Bash? He says, Clelin Ferrell is my sleeper signing. I love watching him at Clemson. So that's another guy who was kind of a flame out with the Raiders. He didn't really quite hit his draft stock. He was drafted in the same draft as Nick Bosa, number 4 pick in that draft. Bosa was 2. I remember that draft. I was scouting all the defensive ends. I mean, there's Quinnen Williams, there's Josh Allen, Brian Burns, like all of them. It was amazing. And the Raiders went and got Ferrell. And he never really hit his draft stock. Like, he was decent. But the 49ers now, they take this guy, just like they did with Arden Key, who was a flame out, and they can turn him into something. So if you're Javon Kinlaw, you know your days are numbered because they can go replace you with literally anybody at defensive line and make them good. You have to be able to stay on that field, and Kinlaw has not been able to stay on the field. And then again, they have another rookie. Last year he was a rookie, Kalia Davis. So they got players they're going to bring in. They got Kevin Givens back. That was another underrated signing, was Kevin Givens. Yes. They have depth. So Kinlaw has to bring his A game. He has to show that he can be on the field and produce, because if not, you're not going to be part of this rotation. They keep about 10 to 11 guys on that line. And if you can't figure it out, unfortunately, you're out. And you're right, man. It's a dog-eat-dog world. It's unfortunate, but that's the business, man. I agree with you.
And his off-the-field attitude to me has always struck me as somebody. I know he came up from a really bad upbringing, and but like just anytime he talks to the media, it's like, why are you this way? What have you proven? Like, be approachable. I don't know. Certain attitudes on players that don't produce always bother me. It'd be different if you were like a crusty kind of like pissy, always angry guy, but you were like a badass on the field, kind of like a Warren Sapp was. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the greatest guy to talk to. He was kind of moody, but he's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he was amazing.
This other guy's living in a world where he thinks he's already done something. And it just, I don't know. I was never a Kinlaw fan. Just like with Clelin Ferrell being overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
They overdrafted him. Like when they drafted him at 4, and I think I forgot who else. There was other guys on the board.
Josh Allen was still on the board. That was my boy.
I was like, this guy? Yeah. When Josh Allen was still on the board, I thought they were going to take Allen. Everybody said the Niners, it was like, okay, as soon as Kyler Murray was drafted, it was like Niners, Bosa, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And then it's like this, I had a feeling he was a reach to begin with, and boy, was he ever, but
100% a reach, because, okay, that drive, it was Kyler, it was Bosa, it was Quinnen Williams. Amazing.
Quinnen Williams.
And then you had Clelin Ferrell, and I was like, I remember sitting there going, you have Josh Allen and Brian Burns, literally 2 of the best.
I forgot about Brian Burns in that draft.
Bro, they had, no, I remember scouting that draft and going, holy God, the edge. I just remember going, like
Brian Burns. Man, if they would have drafted Brian Burns, it would have been a whole other story.
Can you imagine at Brian Burns? They went and chose fucking Clelin Ferrell, and he was good in Clemson. But again, that Clemson team, if you remember that Clemson team, they were so stacked. They were so loaded. So, of course, he was a product of the design of that team, of just being loaded on defense. And he looked better on his, highlight film and everything. And he had a decent pro day and combine, so it made him look good. But if you actually look, the tape, Brian Burns and Josh Allen were so much better than him. And they reached, that's the Raiders going to Raiders. So, but at the end of the day, we did get a guy that now there's no expectations on him. And Chris Kasurik loves that. He's going to cook him up. And that's what he likes. He likes these projects, and he's going to turn him into a 5-sack guy, and he'll get paid next year and send Chris Kasurek a Christmas card when the time comes. I'm telling you what, though, all these defensive linemen that Chris Kasurek gets paid, they should start paying him a percentage of their contract, because this man,
the Chris Kasurek retirement fund.
I'm telling you, dude, Kerry fucking Hyder, Charles Omenihu, Arden Key, Samson Ebicam, they're getting paid more money than they ever would in their absolute lives.
All because they're in a system where, it's all about rushing the passer and screw stopping the run. Just run to the quarterback. You'll let your kick-ass linebackers behind you finish off whoever's getting through there.
Yeah.
Hey, Ramilia's in here. Rams run the chat. Ain't gonna run nothing next year.
They don't even have Jalen Ramsey.
They don't even have. Who do they have? Like, who do they have?
Matt Stafford.
You have Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp. That's it.
That's it. They don't. Jalen Ramsey got traded for nothing, man.
You guys literally have no talent on your team right now. So like,
they got a tight end.
You got your chip, but you're paying. You robbed Peter to pay Paul, man, and now it's just like credit card debt. Eventually, you got to pay. But I'm just crapping on them. They still won their championship. I can't hate. Whatever you say, whatever we say, they still won. So I will always give them that, but that's all I'll give them. I think the Niners do need to make one more move in an edge on free agency. I really think they do, because then you could take the draft and be like, now it's best player available, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could go right tackle, tight end, safety in third round. Boom. There goes
there you
three
go.
future players. And then in the fifth round, you screw around and do whatever. You could get another interior defensive lineman, another maybe undersized edge guy who's strictly only can rush the passer. I don't know. Like, if they can make another, I hope they do. I hope this isn't it.
No, I think they will. I think my man Flood says, I think bringing back Jordan Willis will be clutch. Honestly, I could see them maybe making that their last edge move. He's a solid rotational guy. Because right now, as it stands, you have Nick Bosa, Clelin Ferrell, Drake Jackson, and Alex Barrett as your edge rushers. So I agree. They need another guy. If they're not going to go make a money move like we talked about with the Justin Houston or somebody like that, Jordan Willis makes sense. He's a good special teamer. He's a good rotational guy.
But does he really bring the pain on the other side? That's the thing.
I know, but
you need it. Are they saying like, okay, we got Hargrave. He's essentially our edge rusher, but he's inside. He's our other defensive lineman that's going to combine or to get double teams. So it doesn't matter where they're getting or they're commanding the double teams from, as long as they got two guys. I can understand that. I still wish they would go get another.
Yeah, I want a better guy. I agree.
Like Jordan Willis to me is like, that's great and all, but even if like you said, even if it's a guy like who the Ravens just let go, Calais Campbell, on like a really 1-year deal. I'd rather have Calais Campbell at this age than Jordan Willis, because he has a pedigree, and I'm sure he gets into this defensive line with this defensive coordinator with Bosa and Hargrave. I think he could have a renaissance year just based on the fact that he's going to get single blocked all the time, and people are going to be like, well, he's the old guy. We'll just put the other tackle can hand fight him or whatever.
Yeah, he might mess around.
If he can get 10 sacks,
he get like 10 sacks. Yeah, you're right. And
great.
Because he's a veteran and he's a guy that
just knows, based on moxie and skill and old dog tricks.
Yeah, he's consistent.
That's kind of where I would go, even if people are like, "Oh, he's old." Well, I mean, he's still
on this team. A guy like that would definitely, like you said, I think you hit it right. Who had to have a renaissance season, because he could come in and they're gonna be like, "All right, we don't even worry about this guy," and he's gonna come in and get all the cleanup stuff. He's gonna clean up all the work that Bosa and Hargrave are doing, and it's gonna be like, oh crap, we just got sacked by Calais Campbell, who's like 90 years old, and he's gonna look great, because you're right, he's gonna get single coverage. So I agree with it. If it's a guy that can actually have consistency at getting at the court, that's all we need. A guy that's been able to do it his whole career. So I agree. If they go that route, I would be happy. But I think realistically, Jordan Willis makes sense, because again, what do we talk about? They like to save the money, but I would like them to stretch the dollar just a little, to make a little bit more of a splashy sign. Just a little.
What do you mean, like Darius? You mean like Darius Slay?
Oh, Darius Slay. Let's talk about Darius Slay. Let's get to it, because there's been a lot of rumors today.
I would love it.
Oh fuck, man. That would be, if they splashed that. Not only again would you.
That means you're locking down both sides. That means you could put anybody at pass rush. because you're going to have guys who can actually cover more than 3 seconds.
Oh my God, man! And then
that means you kick Demo in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
You have two. You got Gibson back there. You have Hufanga cleaning up anything that gets past the linebackers, smacking that.
Oh my God!
Ooh, that would be tasty. I don't see it happening, but if they come on, Niners,
come on, they just have to move some money around. They got to do some restructuring, which I think they still have.
Go
some
restructure.
Christian McCaffrey. Go restructure Christian McCaffrey because you really haven't fixed his contract yet. They can do it, but they still got to have money to save for their rookies. I get it, but you can still restructure a CMC because if Darius Slay came on this team, you take away another key piece out of the Eagles like they do with Hargrave, and it's dude, Charvarius Ward and Slay. You can't throw on them, and then they're covered. And then you got the pressure up front. God damn, that's just scary hours, man.
That would be a dream, as The Rock would say. It's a dream.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Unbelievable.
My whole thing is if they don't get another edge guy, I think one of their 3rd round picks they go edge.
Oh, 100%.
I think edge and tight end are within those first 3 3rd rounders.
Yeah.
If they go edge and tight end in those first 3 3rd round picks, totally fine with that. If they go tight end, edge, and whatever I just said, that's great.
Yeah.
Because I think Ryan Hensley said he thinks it might be it as far as the splash. He doesn't want that to be the case, but he just, honestly, and I kind of agree with them. I didn't want to agree with them. I was like, I really would love us to make one more move. But this is a deep, isn't it? It's a deep edge draft, right?
It's very
deep tight end draft. Yeah. Tight end is something we need, and edge is always something we could have.
Yeah,
even if it's a guy that literally only plays 3rd down.
Yeah,
give me someone who just speeds and runs past, and the tackle can't catch him, and then all of a sudden you have a pocket that's just collapsing all the time. That's what I want.
Scary hours, man. So I agree. I think you're right on that. What Ryan said is there probably isn't going to be another splash, but I hope that's not the case. But I mean, I feel like at this point they made the splash, and today, so it's like a pattern. Okay, the first day. Splash. Here you go. Let's hit you with the splash, baby. Oh my God, make you hyped up for the season. Yesterday, all right, these guys, we're not gonna come back. Thanks for playing with us. All right, let's see who we need to get tomorrow. We're gonna see who walks away and doesn't come back. Okay, now today, which is the next day. Okay, we had to replace those edge rushers. Got them. We need to replace a cornerback. Got them. And that's what they're doing. And they're going on the cheaper route, like we said. But I still think they've got one more move in them. I don't know if it's a splash. I think it's like a mid-tier guy like they did today. But
if they get Justin Houston,
that's a splash.
That's splash to me.
That's a splash.
Even if it's like a 2-year deal, $8 million or something, which I think he won't sign for that. But you said my pain meds are kicking in. They might be a little bit.
They might be. Real quick. So we talked about the signings. So we obviously talked about Hargrave. That was a big one. We talked about a little bit about Clelin Ferrell. I'll talk about Isaiah Oliver in a minute, the cornerback they got today. But I want to kick back to that first day. They went and got a quarterback. We've been talking about quarterback for a very long time this offseason. And one of the things that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan mentioned on the press conference a while back was they are going to get a veteran quarterback. They got to insulate themselves. Brock Purdy had the surgery. Trey Lance is coming off of his injury and, expected to get the full reign in training camp. But they need a guy to be a 3rd-string quarterback. And they made their decision. They went with Sam Darnold. They gave him about $3 million guaranteed 1 year. 25 years old, former number 3 pick in the draft. He had high expectations, but he never really played on a good team. He played with the Jets, Panthers. He was 4-2 down the stretch last year on a ragtag Panthers team. I don't know. How do you feel about Sam Darnold? I like the move. I thought it was a good quarterback 3. For a quarterback 3, Sam Darnold, he has mobility. He's had some potential. If we get to the dire straight situation where we need to start him, I feel confident that he can win some games. I think Kyle Shanahan's the best coach he's ever played with. And I also think that they have a lot of weapons. Sam Darnold's never had a team like the 49ers. I thought it was a good move. I gave that about a B. What do you think about Sam Darnold to the Niners?
I thought it was a B move too.
Yeah.
If you're bringing him in for what most of us intelligent fans, not people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. What do you mean you can't believe it? He's been brought in to be essentially a guy who's not going to suit up most of the season.
Yeah.
You can't believe it. Who'd you think they were going to bring in? Like, they're not spending $10, $14 million on a back quarterback. I'm so sorry. Like, I swear, you get to free agency and people think we're going to sign every time somebody's released. Oh, we should get that guy. Oh, we should get that guy. There is a salary cap. You do literally know that we have Bosa coming up. We have to pay him. I thought it was a great move. He's been a starter in the NFL. He was in a situation where he was on a team with no weapons. They suck, the Jets. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that he's going to be any type he's not going to have a renaissance, but in the emergency case that we lose both guys, I can see him winning a couple games just based on the fact that he has experience, one, and two, he's got a bunch of great players around him. He's essentially just got a Jimmy Garoppolo his way into games, which is don't throw the game away and be efficient on the underneath stuff. Just throw to your playmakers. You got essentially let's see, you got CMC, you have Kittle, you have Ayuk, and you have Debo. Essentially, you have four guys that you literally can just facilitate to. He's literally I always call all the Niners quarterbacks point guards because they got all these they all have these peripheral players that you just gotta
just facilitate.
Behind the
you
back,
just John Stockton to him. You just pick and roll John Stockton to him.
That's literally the Niners offense is literally a pick and roll offense.
It's
from
literally
the
Utah Jazz from
That's
the 90s.
all we do, and it works all the time.
Literally.
Okay, yeah. Maybe 85% of the time, unless you're playing the Bulls in the finals, then it doesn't work.
Yeah, then it doesn't work. But we played the Bulls in the NFC Championship, and it didn't work. So,
I think it's a great move. I thought it was like a low key, fantastic move.
I did too.
If you bring them in, you could tell who the diehards are, and you could tell who the Fairweather ones are. The Fairweather fans are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it!" Like, what do you? There's nothing not to believe. He's a
QB3 for a quarterback.
He's QB3. He's pretty damn talented for your QB3.
That's an absolute steal for a QB3. The guy was a third-round pick. And to me, that's amazing because, the guy probably went through so much mental shithole.
He was seeing ghosts.
He was seeing ghosts. He probably went through, he was down bad. You know who else was the number 3 pick? Trey Lance. Do you know that is a perfect guy that Trey Lance can be like, yo, man, you were the number 3 pick. They didn't believe in you. You got sent. You got cast away. You got benched. How does it feel? This is the perfect quarterback for Trey Lance to learn mentally a lot from. And he's 25 years old, and he's had so much adversity. This was a money pick to me. This, to me, was great. And again, if he has to play because of injuries, because the 49ers, their quarterbacks get hurt. I hate to tell you that. I hate to say it, but they do. I hope it doesn't happen. I can feel confident in him coming in and winning a few games. I feel very happy with knowing that is our emergency guy. I think it was good. The contract was not even. It was like pennies on the dollar for the guys that are out there getting.
They spent about 3.8 or something on that contract.
3.5 million guaranteed for the quarterbacks like Dalton, and these guys are getting paid a lot more money for being the shitty starter or backup. We paid him a decent amount.
Bro, we had Josh Johnson last year. He sucked.
Yeah, sucked. Bottom line.
When you say dog water, and I think dog water, I would drink the dog water.
Yeah.
Then watch that guy play. Sorry.
Sucked, man. I like it. I thought it was a good low key signing.
Yeah.
You're not gonna. He's not gonna move the needle. He's not gonna be like, oh my god, QB1.
Not meant to.
He's your QB3 because you have 2 young quarterbacks on rookie contracts, and that is what you build around. Do you know how much the total contract amount for the 3 quarterbacks the 49ers have now, their quarterback group? Do you want to know how much they pay for a total for quarterbacks?
Was it like $6 million?
$13 million for 3 quarterbacks. 13? That is absolutely a steal. Some quarterbacks are getting paid.
That's how you build up championship runs, man.
3 quarterbacks for $13 million.
And if the Niners somehow move on from Trey Lance, that window elongates because you would essentially, I don't even know how it would go for the last pick in the draft. What is he, like a 2-year deal, 3-year deal?
His cap hit right now is $950K. So yeah, it's like a 2-year deal, bro. It's crazy.
I think the Niners, like I said, if they can just make one more move, even if it's a Justin Houston kind of pick up, that'd be great. I don't know. I was a little disappointed that they didn't grab an edge. Clelin Ferrell was nice and everything, but because I want to see Nick Bosa have the ability to kind of just do his thing and not be the only guy. Because, you can't. I always think about injuries. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Clelin Ferrell's good, but if you have another person in front of him, he becomes better because then he slots down to where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, and I agree exactly what you're saying, because you don't want Clellan to be like your top rep edge rusher on the other side of both. So you do need to get a better guy. You want him to be a rotational guy. But again, I think a guy that they're really going to bank on is Drake Jackson. He was a second-round pick, but I think they'll get another guy, because if you remember last year, that's what they did. They had 4 guys that rotated on the edge on the other side of Bosa. We don't even worry about Bosa. He's on the world of his own. Like, you don't even count him because he's Bosa's Bosa.
He's basically pass rushing Jesus.
Yeah, he's pass
or
rushing
whatever
right?
God you believe,
whatever you Allah, whatever you pray to. He's your
pass
guy.
rushing Allah.
Yeah. So this guy. So last year on the other side, you had Ebukam, you had Omenahu, you had Jordan Willis, and then you had Drake Jackson. And sometimes you can slide Kerry Hyder out there. So sometimes they get guys that they can play inside and move them outside. Omenahu did that too. Art Armstead's a guy that can kick outside and he can play inside. He can kind of do that double thing, double kind of.
I like him inside. I really don't like him outside.
I like him inside, but I'm saying on certain downs they can't kick him, because now you have Hargrave who can eat it up in the middle. But Armstead's better because he's so good against the run. He's such a run stuffer. So I don't want him to kick him out a lot, but he can if needed on certain downs. So I do agree. They definitely need one more pass rusher, because right now you got Kevin Givens, you got Kalia Davis. We don't know what Kalia Davis is going to give you. You do have Hargrave, you got Armstead, and then you got Kinlaw, which we talked about. We don't know if he's even going to make full roster next year. And then on the edge, again, you got Drake Jackson, you got Clellan, you got Alex Barrett. I don't know if he's going to make the roster. And, Clellan Ferrell. So I agree. Get one more guy that can give you a lot of reps, because between Omenahu and Ebukam, they had over like 1,100 snaps. That was a lot of snaps. You need to recreate those snaps. And you're not going to rely on a rookie, because Kyle Shanahan, it tells you he doesn't like rookies to take a big, significant role. Drake Jackson, he was inactive for the last half of the season, basically, and he was a rookie. So I think that's
going to motivate him, because that's a bad look, personally.
Yeah.
If you can't finish his season as a professional football player,
that's true. That's
true.
Oh,
I hope he has his what's his gallons on fire, ready to go. Put some icy hot on those bad boys, man. Let's go.
You got to get up. You got to step up, because that's a shitty look for him. You're right, man. Second round pick, a lot of expectation, and Kyle just says he said it straight up. Oh, he wasn't strong enough to last the season. I would have been like,
for a guy that size, he always did look a little chunky. Like when they drafted him, he looked like me at 40, at 280.
But he can still hit.
But he's a young man. I want to see that transformation.
He's athletic. He's got the bend, and his athleticism is crazy. He can still hit them backflips. He just needs to be locked in the weight room. I hope he calls up Bosa this offseason and figures out his training regime.
How many curls do you do to get your arms looking like that?
Yeah, fuck, man. That's exactly what he needs to do. Just look chiseled like Bosa, because he's got the athleticism. He just needs to get his body.
He's a big boy. He just needs to get less donuts and Big Macs and more, broccoli and
and grilled chicken.
Yeah,
broccoli and grilled chicken and tofu. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's why you save it for if you win the Super Bowl and you can get fat in the offseason for a little bit.
You go eat them donuts like Laken Tomlinson after the Super Bowl. I'm gonna throw some names out there of all the players we lost, and then we're gonna go rapid fire through this. So I'm gonna drop a name, and then you give me your thoughts. I'll give you my thoughts, and then we'll go, because we lost a lot of players. So we kind of hit on some of them. Let me go through the list of players, and then I want to touch on Isaiah Oliver, the guy we signed recently. So I'm going to go through the whole list, and let's get our thoughts, because there's quite a bit of players that ended up moving away. So let's see. Let me go through the list, and then we'll go through all the free agents, and then we're going to do this with the other side of the players we did sign back. So first one that I could say that we lost was Hassan Ridgeway. He went to the where did he go? He went to the Texans, actually. So D'Amico Ryans did get one of his former players, Hassan Ridgeway, 1 year, $4 million deal, $3 million fully guaranteed. I mean, to me, it didn't really. I was like, okay, whatever. He was a good depth piece, but they brought back Kevin Givens, and I was happy with Givens. So what do you think, Hassan Ridgeway?
Exactly the same. One, he broke down towards the end of this. He was hurt for a good part of the season. They ended up making the mistake and not bringing him back. But to me, he didn't move the needle either way for me last year. Yeah. So losing him is essentially whoever they bring. Like the fact that they brought in somebody the level of Hargrave, you could see it definitely ain't a wash. It was like, yeah, I don't really miss him all that much. And then when Kalia Davis, like you said, we don't know what he's going to bring us.
Yeah.
So not really. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
They had a lot of guys that were just kind of whatever for me last year because none of them really they never said, hey, you know what? I'm going to be on this team next year because, I got 10 plus sacks. There was none of that really. So,
yeah, he was a plug and play rental player. He got paid. He goes with D'Amico, familiarity with D'Amico.
yep.
I wasn't worried. To me, he was expendable. I was like, all right, cool, good deal. You got your money. Now we'll replace you with Kevin Givens and Kalia Davis. Boom, next. Then the next player, a bigger name. This was kind of a bigger name. I think we all knew he was going to leave, but it was offensive line right tackle Mike McGlinchey. He went with the Broncos. I thought he was going with the Bears, but he went to the Broncos. They gave him $87.5 million with $50 million guaranteed. I was like that. When I saw that, I was like, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, they paid Mike McGlinchey a lot of money. He'll be protecting Russell Wilson. If they're going to be running the ball a lot, great move. But what do you think about Mike McGlinchey getting $50 million guaranteed? Holy moly!
It tells you a lot about, I guess, the tackle market out there.
Yeah,
that he was the best of a. I don't think the tackle market was super impressive this offseason, other than maybe like Orlando Brown.
Yeah, and Taylor from the Jaguars.
And Taylor Lewan, but he's hurt all the time.
No, the other one, the guy from the Jaguars.
Oh yeah, he was kind of like the tippy top. But yeah, if they're gonna run the ball all the time, then great. But if they think they're going to be able to drop back 35 to 45 times a game, God bless their heart.
God bless their heart.
He's just not that kind of. I don't know. Maybe it was the guys that he faced in the NFC. Maybe he'll have an easier time in the AFC.
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
McGlinchey to me was a player that, when I found out the Niners weren't bringing him back, it was a win. And I know people were saying McKivitz doesn't really instill a lot of confidence in me either. But to me, I'm almost at a wash for emotions. It's kind of like we replaced McGlinchey with McGlinchey, but a cheaper version of the same kind of flawed player. So
that's exactly what I thought. Because I was going to ask you, Colton McKivitz, that's the guy we signed, 2-year extension, basically McGlinchey's replacement. To me,
it's like McGlinchey light.
He's actually, McGlinchey 2.0, and maybe he could be better. And you're going to get him for a cheaper contract than you would have got for what's his name, McGlinchey. Because again, what did we say? $50 million guaranteed. Colton McKivitz is getting 2 years with like $2 million a year. That's a very stark difference. So if he gives you the same production out of McGlinchey for that much less money, then it's a steal. And if he does better than McGlinchey at that price, bravo, man. Fucking vo. So that's the way I took it as. Like, I'm happy for McGlinchey. He got paid.
Set his family up for life and then some. Yep.
He's set, man. Shout out to the Niners for.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't really that. He just wasn't a great pass protector. I'm sorry. He wasn't.
Yeah. Ted says Javon Taylor-Jackson. That's the guy. Javon Taylor. That's the guy that went he was probably the best right tackle on the market. I mean, you could argue Orlando Brown, but he doesn't seem to want to play right tackle. It seems like. So another guy that was very popular amongst 49er fans for good and bad reasons. He also left the team. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo went to the Raiders. They gave him 3-year contract, $67.5 million, $34 million guarantee. And that signified the end of the Jimmy Garoppolo era with the 49ers. He goes to the Las Vegas Raiders and replaces Derek Carr. And if you're a Raiders fan, you have to say, did we upgrade? Did we downgrade? Did we wash? Like,
it's a total wash. If you look at their statistics, and they like to throw the Jimmy Garoppolo playoff wins that he was pretty much a co-signer, a sidecar rider. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, he brought the excitement in 2017. We all could admit we fell for it, right? We all thought he was going to be the second coming to Joe Montana. Great looking Italian guy, quick release, can move around a little bit. And then he got hurt against the Chiefs, and it was kind of like, and even in that first couple games before he got hurt, I was like, oh man, maybe he might have made a mistake here. Like that first game against the Vikings, and he kind of looked shaky against the Lions.
Oh yeah.
And I remember as a 49er fan saying, wow, he kind of sucks. He's really not that good, actually. And then, of course, the 2019 season, but for the most part, he was always hurt. He was a good bridge quarterback if you were willing to bring somebody in after him. He played that role really well. I thought he played well this year when he played because he was getting paid and he knew it. But to me, he never got us to where I think a lot of 49er fans at the offset of it thought he was going to get us. And that's the end goal. So, and then, you had your pro Jimmy people that just would make a ton of excuses for him. And then you had the people like me that actually there's three. There's the ones that loved him, the ones that were kind of in the middle, kind of like me, where I could give or take. And then there was people that just straight up hated the guy.
Yeah.
So I think it was time, and I'm not going to miss him. I think we're more than adequate in the quarterback position. I think Purdy, if he's healthy, I think he's better than Jimmy, and he's a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Trey Lance can get his shot and get his shit together and play well. I think we'll be just fine, to be honest with you.
I agree. Again, I respect Jimmy. He came in, he changed the culture. That 5-game run when he first came in, I was like, holy shit, we might have something.
Yeah, we all thought that.
We all did. We thought we had our franchise because it was a dark time before he came, before Lynch came, before Kyle came. Team sucked, man. After the Harbaugh era,
we had no talent.
We had nothing. We had nobody. No Brian Hoyer. Like we had Gabbert, shitty quarterback. So this guy,
so bad.
This guy looked like fucking sex to us. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was like oh my lord.
And he was handsome, and you're like, okay, baby, give it to me. But if you look back, I went back so many times. His stats weren't even that impressive during that run, but it's because we were winning games.
Every 3 touchdowns, he would throw three a pick. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, but at the time we were so starved for wins, and we were like, oh my God. And and the locker room loved him, and everybody was having fun, and we were like, let's go. And then you're right, though. They paid him a lot of money because they were like, okay, I think we got him. We have to secure him up. And they set the market. At the time, Jimmy Garoppolo set the market for quarterback, and it was like, okay, we got him. And those first 2 games were definitely telling. The Minnesota game, other than that rollout play to Dante Pettis, because that play was fucking sex to me. I was like, oh, shit. And he had mobility. Lions game was a catastrophe. We almost lost that game if it wasn't for Matt Breida. But then, again, Kansas City tears the ACL, and then he lost his mobility. 2019 was nice, but we had a great, strong team. Bosa, we probably don't get Bosa if Jimmy doesn't get the injury, so it's kind of like one of those washes. But yeah, he was always hurt, and that limited us. And then it was just like a toxic relationship. It was tumultuous. It was like good times. There was bad times. The fan base hated each other with certain quarterbacks. They like Trey. They like this guy. They like, no, get rid of Jimmy. Get rid of. And every offseason since they got Jimmy, it was like, who's going to be quarterback? Although they paid him franchise quarterback money, and you're still asking yourself, who's the quarterback of 49ers? You just paid him all this money. Right. So it was like they were trying to find ways of getting rid of him, and it was so much drama. I'm just glad it's over. And again, I respect everything he did. Class act, professional. He handled himself well with the media. Great bridge. He took Trey under his wing, but just the outside noise and the drama, I was so tired and fed up with it. And I'm happy that he got paid. He got a nice contract for himself. He's going to set himself up. Vegas, I think, is a good fit for him. They got weapons there. They got weapons.
I don't know why they gave rid of their tight end for. That made absolutely
stupid.
Why?
Maybe they'll draft a guy, because you said the tight end market is deep.
Didn't they bring somebody in?
Yeah, maybe.
I thought they brought in a free agent to replace the tight end they just lost.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I haven't
they
paid
need
attention.
To get a tight end. But, at the end of the day, Jimmy, I wish him good luck. But, man, that era was just, it was crazy, man.
It was more about what was going on outside of the football. Oops, sorry, I hit my table. It was more about what's going on outside the football field than it was actually the play on the field.
I agree.
And his play 100%. On the field, to me, for the most part, was
lacking.
It was middle of the ground, and a lot of times lacking. Anytime he got in a big game, he would throw costly picks.
Yeah.
And then he would have a comeback that everyone would be like, "See, that's it right there." Oh my God,
it was inconsistent. And again,
every time you thought we got him like to where he was going to be something, he would come out with a game right after. Me and my nephew used to talk about this because my nephew made the mistake of buying a Jimmy jersey. I told my nephew, it was like, every time we think we got something with Jimmy, he would always remind us of who exactly he really was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Crazy.
So
crazy. Again, respect to him for everything he did, but it was time. Yeah. It was time because they've been trying to let him go, and they finally got him. And
Kyle was very much off that. He was never, I don't think he was really ever on it.
No.
We all know who Kyle really wanted. Hell, he didn't even scout Mahomes or Watson.
Yeah.
Because he was going to bring in Mr. Mediocrity himself, Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
He was going to get Kirk. And in this comment, Ramon says, the fact that Lynch said we didn't need a quarterback with Brian Hoyer was a quarterback, and they selected Solomon Thomas over Mahomes and Watson, because that's the thing. You're right. You hit it. They didn't scout those guys because they were like, okay, we're going to get – they were so sure they were going to get Kirk Cousins. They didn't. They kept Brian Hoyer, and then they panicked, and they saw the opportunity to get Jimmy, and that was the guy. They were like, boom, he went 5 games in a row. We're genius. We made it. Boom. And they learned a lot because that was their first year as head coach GM, and I think they learned a lot from that season. And that's why when they went and saw those quarterbacks the year they drafted Trey, they were like, we have to scout because we messed up. And that was them admitting they were wrong. Just like they got Hargrave, they were admitting they were wrong from the whole Defoe Kinlaw debacle.
You don't make every move. I mean, look at the Patriots since Brady's left.
Yeah.
Can you say that Bill Belichick is hitting on everything all the time?
No,
He's had some pretty huge misses lately.
Especially lately, they got rid of Jacoby Myers to bring in Juju Smith for $33 million, same amount.
They get hit, right? Wow, huh? Like, hey, we're gonna get rid of you. We're gonna get suckier at the position, but we're gonna pay the same amount of money.
Why
didn't you just pay the money to? Yeah,
right.
See,
you got rid of a really solid player for a TikTok content creator. Really,
yeah, a guy who does dances and stuff like a weirdo.
Him and Kendrick Bourne are gonna be dancing a lot if they ever get to the end zone. Be dancing, but
if they ever get to the end zone,
they ever get to the end zone, yeah. So yeah, I think we share the same sentiments on Jimmy. Respect. Hope he does well in Las Vegas. But yeah, it was a very.
I have no ill will personally. I just thought he was an average quarterback. You ask people, they're like, "What's the one thing about Jimmy Garoppolo, his time with the 49ers, that you could speak well on?" He just wins. But other than that, they don't have anything.
Real quick, Aaron, I got some breaking news that we got to go through. So I know the chat has talked about it. Solomon Thomas re-signed with the Jets, but this is a report from Jacina Anderson. She's saying that the Eagles are having a hard time letting go of Darius Slay and are trying to work out a way to keep him. Slay already said his goodbyes, but it may not be over just yet. This is according to Jacina Anderson. So they're trying to bring him back, man. I hope they don't. I wish the Niners can bring him back. But it does look like the Eagles are trying to push with his agent to kind of bring back Darius Slay. I know a lot of people want to get Slay. So I know a lot of people want to get Slay. I just wanted to drop that little update. Darius Slay getting pushed hardcore by the Eagles to return. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. If he returns there, then it's like he never was anybody's anyway. So
yeah.
It's essentially like, okay, get right. Me too. If we're not going to go and get another edge guy, give me Darius Slay. But I unfortunately think that the guy we got today was probably the closest to Darius Slay. But maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong.
I agree. So let's talk about Isaiah Oliver because, again, we're going through all the players. So today they signed Isaiah Oliver, cornerback. He was a second-round pick from the Falcons several years ago in 2018. His most famous play last year was intercepting Jimmy Garoppolo. Speaking of who we just talked about, second-round pick, he was a really good run defender, actually. Him and Charvarius Ward were the highest-graded run tackling cornerbacks. He was top 6 in the NFL in terms of tackling efficiency. He also had a passer rating against of 74.4, pretty good. And he was a guy that had 5 PBUs. A solid slot corner. He was a slot corner. I think Adam says he was a top 10 slot corner. 49ers have been looking for a nickel since they got rid of K'Wan Williams.
His completion percentage is actually about 20% lower than Jimmy Ward's was in the slot. Jimmy Ward was almost at 90%.
Yeah.
I saw it earlier, and his was like in the 70s. So
and this is a natural nickel.
He's a natural nickel guy. He's not a kind of a clunky, kind of more muscular, should have been a safety guy in the slot. I give props to Jimmy Ward.
Yeah,
for doing something that he didn't want to do.
100%. I like this move, Oliver, because he can come and compete with Sam Womack. They've been looking for that. They've been looking for that nickel since they got rid of K'Wan Williams.
Does that push out Demo? No, not Demo. Does that push out? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Lenore. Yeah, I think
no, not Lenore. I mean, does that push out? What's his name? Ambry.
Could
that be saying Ambry could be? Not chopped on the chopping block, but I don't know. I have no confidence in him.
I have no confidence. So to me, it's basically telling Ambry Thomas, former third-round pick, that you need to come into camp and show us you've improved over the last 2 years. Now you're in your third year. Show us improvement in training camp because he didn't do that last year, and Diamond Lenore did, and he took the advantage when Emmanuel Mosley went down. They gave the opportunity to Lenore, not Ambry, who was the third-round pick. They gave it to Lenore, who was the fifth-round pick, who people thought was a nickel. But they pushed him to the outside corner. And so I think Lenore's going to take that opportunity on the outside, keep rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to have Womack, who really flashed last year in his limited opportunities, to go and compete with this Isaiah Oliver guy. That's your nickel guy. Ambry Thomas just has to try to survive and make the roster now. That's his goal.
Is Quantrez Knight still on the roster?
Yeah, a very underrated guy. I think he's a sneaky guy to make this 53.
Over Ambry.
Yeah, over Ambry. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I heard, they said he had a really good camp last year.
Yeah.
In preseason.
Yeah.
It's so, hey, listen, man, it's the NFL. There's always somebody out to replace you. So you better come in ready to compete, or there's going to be another guy who makes less money that'll take your job from you. So,
yeah, I agree. And now they got competition, and competition brings out the best in people. So if Ambry wants to come out in there and play and show his abilities, go out there and do the work and show people you've improved. So let's go back. There's a couple more. So I want to get through some of these players. So we lost several more players. Well, again, we did get Isaiah Oliver. I think we both in agreement he could come and compete. Today, this one didn't really shock me. I don't really care. They did not tender Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. He's an unrestricted free agent. Sayonara, good special teamer. It doesn't really, I'm not going to lose any sleep. They have Marcelino McCrary-Ball. That's the guy I think that steps up. And the other linebacker they lost was Azeez Al-Shahir. He goes to the Titans. Rand Carthon, former front office guy, just went on a run, and he took a lot of former Niners to him, rebuilding that team. So Azeez goes to the Titans. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles is not retained. To me, I feel that it's going to be Marcelino McCrary-Ball's time to shine. And they have Oren Burks, who they brought in last year.
Yeah, I forgot about Oren Burks. That's a good one. They could make a move on another undrafted guy or somebody in the 5th round. Yeah, possibly. It's not the 5th round. We got Dre Greenlaw, so don't sleep on those 5th round picks.
Yeah, the Niners do so good at drafting and developing linebackers. I am not even worried.
Those are the rounds that I like watching in the draft.
Yeah.
Everybody's like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, maybe, but like it's the late rounds where you see these people the Niners draft, and you're like, And then all of a sudden we're watching in the middle of the season, and hey, it's some new dynamic player that came out of absolutely nowhere that we're like, wow. Yeah. I'm glad I watched day 3 of the draft, So
that they find their gems. Talanoa Hufanga, George Kittle, Diamond Lenore, man, Dre Greenlaw, and then
Elijah Mitchell in the 6th.
Elijah Mitchell,
Juwan Jennings in the 7th. You can 7th round pick for a slot corner or a slot receiver. He's really slow, but he can catch.
That's the thing. The 49ers, most of their key role players they have that are on this team, they're late round pick. Like they're not even 1st round pick. Honestly, they suck when it's 1st round pick. If it's not Nick Bosa,
they need to fire whoever's in charge of the early round stuff.
Yeah, seriously,
and just have them all draft. Get rid of all your 1st round picks and 2nd. Just go right
That's
to
what
the
they
3rd.
did. Well, I mean, if you look at their draft lock this year, they got a lot of 3rd round picks, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. They got all late round picks, man. I think they realized that like we shouldn't be drafting in the 1st round. Okay, we're going 5th round, and
they're going to have a lot of compensatory picks next year too.
Yeah.
On top of having a 1st round pick, they're going to have 5 threes or something like that.
Probably they're going to get the max because you lose all these players like Omenahu, you lose Jimmy Garoppolo, you lose Mike McGlinchey. You're going to get picks back from next year. So that's why they're okay with losing these players because they know, like we said.
The Niners are playing that system. They're playing the game, man. They
figured it out. They got to figure it out. They know they can lose these players, retool, get another guy, build a team, stock up on cheap guys and get retooled through the draft, through compensatory picks. Jimmy Garoppolo, perfect example. They traded a 2nd round pick to get him. They got a 3rd round compensatory pick next year coming. They basically got him for nothing because if you really think about it, the difference between a 2nd and a 3rd for the 49ers is literally nothing. So that's a double of a move, man. It's awesome. 100%. So speaking of undrafted players, and then the other thing is undrafted players. They go and get so much undrafted players. We talked about Mosley, Azeez, another guy, Dan Brunskill. This one, I wasn't upset, but I was like, this one might hurt a little bit because we do need to beef up the O-line. We talked about a lot of D-line today, but Dan Brunskill goes to the Titans, of course. Again, Rand Carthon putting his stamp of approval on these former Niners. I like Brunskill. He was a jack-of-all-trades type of guy. He could play guard, center, tackle. This was a Swiss Army knife, and he goes to the Titans. And I don't know. I did wish we kept him because this is a guy that was really good depth, but he gets an opportunity to start somewhere because we always said he's good enough to start on a team, but he was like our 6th man on the line. If someone got hurt, throw him in, and he deserves a starting spot. I was a little, I was like, man, I wish we would have kept this guy. What do you think, Dan Brunskill? and the O-line, to me, that's the one weakness that we still need to patch up.
We got a little worse because we don't know what we're going to get from Nick Zakiel or I'm trying to think of the other offensive lineman that we're talking about. There's Zakiel and who's our other?
Jason Poe and Nick Zakiel.
So Jason Poe and Nick Zakiel. We don't know what we're going to get from those guys.
We don't. Honestly. And Jalen Moore.
And Jalen Moore, he looked pretty bad when they brought him in last year. He looked horrible, especially when he was replacing Trent Williams. So that would be. I was never a Brunskill guy, but these guys can quickly become better if they all of a sudden they play and they look better. We'll forget about Brunskill in a heartbeat. But the fact that Brunskill could pretty much play anywhere along the offensive line, which in today's NFL is phenomenal. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe they find a guy in the later rounds who's kind of a Swiss Army knife guy that maybe can.
I'm sure they will.
Be a swing tackle or something. Right.
And Jason Poe is kind of a Swiss Army knife. He can play. He played fullback. So you're right. I wasn't like Dan Brunskill's not this elite player, but he was a guy that could just do it all. And it was like he's so versatile. So that's why I'm going to miss him. Maybe I'm sure they'll find a guy because I know that they're good at reloading in those later rounds. Real quick, breaking news. The Broncos officially announced that they signed right tackle Mike McGlinchey. They've officially made it official now. So Mike McGlinchey, he's officially getting paid $50 million guaranteed. Wow.
Stealing money, baby.
He's stealing fucking money, man.
You smell that? That's burning payroll. That's what somebody used to say at work.
Oh, God, man. That's crazy.
Payroll is burning. Woohoo.
It really is, man. Oh, God.
Wish I could burn payroll and be okay with it.
Seriously, dude. Oh, man. That's crazy. Another guy we lost, Emmanuel Mosley, we touched on him.
That sucks.
It's just a lot of money for a guy that's coming off an ACL. I think we both agree with that. 49ers then brought back Jake Brendel. 4 years, $20 million, $8 guaranteed. He was a solid center. 4 years gives them stability. They've never really had the same center during this regime.
I think I'm fine with it.
Me too.
I think he's a comparable. That's not the word. I think he's a good enough center in the NFL. He's not horrendous. Is he the guy he replaced in his prime that played on the Falcons all those years? No. But considering that, like you said, it's been kind of a turnstile, that center position. I think he's fine. You can't have an all-star at every position. You got to make concessions at certain spots.
I agree.
And he's an average starting center in the National Football League, and they pay him as such. And and I think it was a fine move.
It was a good value move. You have
your stars, and then the rest of your team is filled out by role players. And essentially, what the Niners do is the stars get the stars money, and the Niners treat them as such, and then they just kind of replace the role players every so often.
Exactly.
This defensive line that we had last year, can anybody say that they really stole the show and they needed to get paid? No. So
the only guy that steals the show is Trent Williams, and then you give him props because Aaron Banks played better than anybody expected.
I think those three guys could only get better. I was actually referring to the defensive line, like. They didn't really do anything crazy other than Bosa and Armstead. I think Armstead had it okay because he was hurt most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the NFL. You have your stars and then you have your role players, and that's what role players are. You had Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, and then you had Kerr and freaking Judd Bushler and all those other guys.
And Whole Grant, baby.
Wennington, Randy Brown. Like
I remember the centers. They used to call him it was like the three-headed monster because there was like
Luke
Will
Longley,
Perdue, Luke Longley, and Bill Wennington. They sucked, dude.
Like all of them together couldn't even sniff Shaquille O'Neal.
I know.
All they did was just foul out all the time when they played.
It was hack and shot, and then they would beat them. Like here's the thing: you had Jordan and Pippen and Rodman, Diamond and Horace Grant you gotta give him his credit. They had some, but you're right. For this guy, it's a solid role player at center. I think he's okay. Gives them 4 years. They've never had stability at the position. And you know what? Shout out to him. He was a 30-year-old guy that was a journeyman. He was an undrafted free agent, journeyman, never started. And shout out to him. He turned his career into a 4-year, $8 million guaranteed. Shout out to Jake Brendel, man. He worked hard. I think that was
He's getting paid in his 30s and for being a good stand-up guy that plays well when asked and never really been the guy. So good for him.
Good for him, man. I think that was a dub for him. So happy on that. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be elite, but And Kyle Shanahan's offense, your center, if you can move and do what you got to do in the zone blocking scheme, you're fine because they have Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk. And those guys help in the blocking game. And anybody else that they have on that team, they're able to block for run defense or run blocking. I don't question Kyle Shanahan. I know what he's doing. And he was actually a really good pass protector in terms of center and blocking. So he was actually a better pass protector than he was for running. So that's even better because that's what you want to do is protect your freaking quarterback. And he was good at that. He was like the third highest graded in pass blocking efficiency at center. Pretty good for a 30-year-old journeyman.
Bashar just told me that my Judd Bushler reference. He got to start with the Warriors. I didn't know that.
Did he play for the Warriors? Really?
I guess so. Judd Bushler. I don't even remember what he used to do on the Bulls. I think he was he could hit 3-pointers.
He was a 3-point specialist. He came in every once in a while and hit a few threes, and he was like, "Oh, Jet from downtown." Yeah.
Judd Bushler. Me and my friends used to mess with me when I'd play side basketball and make some shots. They would call me Judd Bushler.
Did they? Did you have that 3-point down?
I was okay from distance when I was younger. I can't do anything anymore, but
you can't do
I was taller than everybody mostly, but I sucked. So they're like, "Hey, why don't you just go out and shoot threes and let all the guys that have handle and can move actually go inside?" So.
Oh man, Bash says that Jed Bushler was a pro beach volleyball player.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, if you ever watch enough Bulls games and games in general, when the Bulls were blowing teams out by
they would
40,
drop some. Yeah,
you'd hear about stuff like that because the Bills a lot of times were smacking people.
Yeah. So
you get your Judd Bushler references during the game and stuff.
Funny.
I forgot about him being a pro beach volleyball player.
Funny.
He looks like it.
He does. He does look like a pro volleyball. For those that are watching that you don't know Jed Bushler, go sign him up. Judd Bushler. Go look him up. Google Judd Bushler, Chicago Bulls. He looks like a 90s beach volleyball player. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, 100%.
He just looks like a guy, man. Like he just has that that look.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
that's funny.
Cool dude.
Cool dude. Yeah, like Kelvin. Cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
So the last guy I guess we can talk about is Jimmy Ward. The 49ers did not retain him. I think we saw this one coming. Yeah. He goes to Houston. Shocker. He was in Houston last week. I don't think he was there for vacation. He was probably there scoping out real estate. D'Amico Ryans brings him in 2 years, $13 million. I mean, that's kind of a bargain for a guy like that. 9-year, longest tenured. He was the last player from the Harbaugh era. Crazy, man. Good leader, clubhouse guy. I love Jimmy. Good dude, enforcer. But, they weren't going to pay him that much money. They wanted him to play nickel for cheaper. And I don't think he was cool with that. He says, listen, if you're going to play me at nickel or if you're going to pay me on this team, I want it to be worth my while. And, D'Amico gave him more money than the Niners were offering. It's going to be tough to see him go because he was a great leader. But, I mean, you can't pay him all, man. I love Jimmy personally because I've talked to him a lot. He was one of the first players.
He seems like a cool cat.
Good guy,
He's very open.
Yeah.
I would love to. That's one guy, if I could ever get an interview on my channel.
That's him. He was the first player I ever interviewed, first player. And I was
he's super open. He doesn't hold back.
Yeah, I loved him.
And if he tries to hold back, you can tell he's like holding the truth. Like if you ask him if somebody's ass or something, he'll probably be like,
he's straight up, dude. I asked him about like his first interception and I asked him about his worst game. I'm like, ask a player. He was like, give me your hardest question. I was like, who was your worst game? And you remember the game when he was a rookie and Brandon Marshall just fucking dog walked him? He talked about that. I asked him about DeAndre Hopkins, the fight. He talked about squaring up with DeAndre Hopkins. He told me that this was like after the Super Bowl loss. And he goes, man, I can't wait to get in there. If we play the Chiefs again, I want to take out Mahomes' head. Like he was just like unfiltered. I was like, God, man, you can ask him any question and he'll give you the answer as long as he's not like spilling any tea on anybody. But he was unfiltered. I love Jimmy Ward, man. And
well, you know what you got to do then for it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. No. Can't do that. So the other guy that they brought back, though, at safety was Tashawn Gibson. So they went with the cheaper route. They still got a veteran. You bring a veteran back because both of those guys were good veterans. I like Gibson. He was a ball hawk. 5 interceptions. You bring him back one more year. And him and Talanoa Hufanga can continue their run together. They were a great duo. And I like the move. I mean, obviously, you lose Jimmy, but you bring back Gibson, so you still have a good clubhouse leader, and you don't lose that leadership as much. So I thought that was a good signing.
Yeah, your back end is essentially what you went into the playoffs with last year.
Correct.
So you're not losing. You're not ground by having a guy come in that has to learn to play with Hufanga.
Yeah.
They all played together already, and I don't see him dropping off from last year to this year. So I think the Niners back end, if everyone stays healthy, is going to be just fine. Yeah, and then you groom a safety.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You groom a guy. If you draft the safety in the 3rd round, you groom that guy, and then in a year or so, hopefully he's ready to go, and then you just move him in. And if maybe the Niners go straight for a free safety, a ball hawk that can get some picks and stuff, and leave Hufanga in the box where he belongs, because he's not a deep safety. He doesn't have the range. But you put him up near the line of scrimmage, and he can hurt people, and that's what you want.
He'll be the enforcer now. He can be the guy. That's the guy that can come up, step up,
play people in their positions where they can be strong, and then they'll all of a sudden look like a Hall of Famer.
100%. Yeah, all pro. And you're right, because at the end of the day, if you really think about it, 49ers essentially have the same secondary group. Lenore was there. Obviously, we love Mosley, but he missed most of the season because of the ACL. Lenore's going to get better, so you have Lenore and Ward. Jimmy Ward, you lose him at nickel. But as we said, our nickel's probably going to be better now because we have natural nickel playing.
Yep.
Oliver, if he gets the spot. No disrespect to Jimmy, but he was a safety playing nickel. So you pretty much, it's a wash. You can only be, at the end of the day, you at least keep the same ability at nickel. We know Jimmy was a good safety, but he lost the spot to Gibson because he played so well and underrated. So really, you get the same secondary, essentially, that got you to the NFC Championship. Your defensive line has improved with Hargrave, and you still have great linebackers. You hope that McCreary Ball can step up, take Aziz's spot.
That's the one guy that I'm not necessarily worried about, but I hope because I've talked it into existence, so have you. Mm-hmm. But he's still got to go out there and play next year. So
yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, we can hype him up all we want.
We're not going to know because the Niners essentially play 2 linebackers all the time anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
The only time you're really going to see McCreary Ball is either on base downs or someone gets nicked.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I
think you'd be all right. If they re-signed him off the practice squad,
I'll tell you what, man.
He said everything to the organization that he needed to say.
I'll tell you what, though. I watched him with my eyes, and he was like, and everybody was like going crazy during training camp because he was.
Larry Krueger was one guy that was freaking singing his praises.
Has been talking about him for months. If Larry Krueger says you're good,
yes,
I believe in you. Yeah.
He was telling me about Purdy. I had him on. He was talking about Purdy. He told me like way back.
Yeah, me too.
And so if like you're right, if Kruger's got he's got the inner scout, man.
Yeah.
He loves talking draft and stuff. Like if you want to, you could literally have Larry Krueger on and just turn off your microphone.
Yeah.
And he will go and he will talk about all these crushes that he has in the draft.
I've done that one time. One time we had a draft show. I sat back. I was like, Larry, tell me your draft crush. I sat here for like 15 minutes. And he's just like, I was like, okay, great. You want me to say anything?
He's literally like Rain Man. He's literally like a draft savant guy.
He really is.
And no hate on savants because you're all, just saying.
Yeah. No, he knows his shit, man. So that pretty much is our free agency in a nutshell so far. I think so far we've done good. I agree with you though. I want them to get one more edge and maybe another lineman on the offensive side because I don't like the depth
like
right now.
Guy.
Yeah,
it's pretty weak.
Yeah,
it's pretty weak.
Because if we have to have Jalen Moore play any significant playing time, I'm going to be fucking nervous.
He's not good. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
He just kind of sucks.
That's just me. He sucks.
He sucks. I hate to tell from a guy who's never played any collegiate or any sports. I don't like to throw around the word sucks because I've never played, but he was pretty bad last year.
But you can make an obvious assessment.
I'm just looking for my eyes.
Just watching the film, just watching him on the tape and the game.
Dude, guys were running by him like
sucks.
Like he was stuck in like cement or something. Like, bro, you're gonna trip him. Yeah. Do something. Get a penalty.
Yeah, dude. He was like, it's like he was walking in quicksand.
Yeah, dude.
Like, what are you doing?
Was he constipated before he got in the field and he was just hard to move? Like
he might have.
Was he like holding back from shitting his pants? Is that what he's doing? So he couldn't really reach or move because he knows if he takes a shot, it's all over.
Listen, they have 11 draft picks, Aaron. They better get a good swing tackle in this draft. I will fucking be pissed if they don't.
Yeah, we're going to go straight through the draft and not pick one swing tackle.
Oh, God, no, they will. But,
yeah, watch them get him with their last pick in the 7th round.
Seventh round, Mr. Irrelevant. They're going to get Mr. Irrelevant, swing tackle.
And he'll be like the greatest.
He'll be the greatest right tackle of all time, right?
He'll be Eric Williams from the Cowboys in the heyday.
Imagine that shit, man.
Now
What's
that
up,
would be
Beto?
awesome.
Niners Sickness Podcast. In
What's
the
up,
building.
Beto?
What's up, my man? How you doing, dude? Oh shit, man. I think that's. Let me go back and double check, but I think we hit all the boxes, man. Anything else?
I was hoping to get some more breaking news through your show.
I was hoping too.
I was
man.
hearing like ring. I'm like, who did we sign? Darius Slay.
That would be nice. I've been staying by the phone, but no breaking news, man. Surprisingly, usually there's been a lot. Like I was live earlier, I had to stop a show. I was like, oh, we got breaking news. So because earlier
gotta go.
when we got Isaiah Oliver, I was live. I went back on Instagram, finished that live, but I see 49ers and cornerback. Breaking 49ers cornerback. I didn't
You were
read the
waiting
whole
for
name.
Darius.
So I'm shitting. I'm like, oh my
Wow.
God, we got Darius
Slay.
Slay. And I look and I was like, oh, Isaiah Oliver.
Oh, it's that
cool.
guy.
I mean, I was like, okay. But I was like, I was like, oh my God, 49ers cornerback. So I look and I was like, I shit you not. I really was I was prepared to be like, oh my God. I was ready to come on live and go like,
the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It was funny, man. But yeah, I had to end the live for a minute. But I think that's pretty much it. I think we covered everything. Any other things you want to bring up here? How's your overall takeaway here?
I think we pretty much nailed it. I think the Niners, I would like to see them make one more move, but if they feel confident that they got some like a good amount of guys in the draft on their board that they can hit with those third round picks, who knows? Maybe they go edge, or you know what I mean? Like they have their guys, their scouts have done their work. Now this is kind of where John Lynch and the pro people do their stuff. But if they don't make any more moves, to me, it's a sign that they got some stuff in the works in the draft.
Yeah.
I would love for them to make one more move, whether it's at corner, right tackle, or edge, just to kind of solidify free agency. And then I'm good until the end of April. I'll probably be working the way things are going right now, because they might not give me PT.
Oh.
I might be back to work. I won't be working through the draft. That's not going to happen. I will take that day off.
Yeah.
Because I'm a draft nut. I love the draft. I like to watch, like I said, I like the later rounds. So we'll see, man. I would love to see it. Like I said, another edge guy, even if it's a Calais Campbell or a Justin Houston, just to say, okay, we got a guy who could essentially be the starter over there for a year.
Yeah.
And let Drake Jackson kind of and Clelin Ferrell kind of play the respective roles where they belong.
Yeah.
And then see where everything goes next year.
I agree.
Because I think if you go in right now and say that Clelin Ferrell and Drake Jackson are essentially your guys on the right side, that doesn't instill a ton of confidence in me.
No.
Because you want a guy across from Bosa that could literally wreck house.
Yeah.
Or at least sometimes can wreck house.
Consistently, yeah. You want a guy
Hargrave's great next to Bosa and Armstead. I think that's a great 1-2-3, like end tackle if they're healthy. But you got to, like, when we had G Ford, Bosa, and then we had Buckner and Armstead, that was an elite defensive line.
That's exactly my thought. Is okay. I love the potential of Drake. I love that Clelin Ferrell is probably going to be having his career year with us because of Chris Kasurek. But they're not like elite guys. We need another like consistent guy that's going to give you 8 to 10 sacks. Guarantee me you get 8 to 10 sacks, because that will make this line just downright filthy. I agree with you. If they can get an edge like that, I'm cool. If you can go get another lineman to solidify the depth, I'm good. If you can get one more cornerback, I'm good. But I feel like one of the lineman positions is more needed, O-line or edge, because I feel like they have good enough depth. We talked about they pretty much have the same back end as they did in the NFC Championship, give or take a few player or two. They can draft well. They'll hit on their comp picks. They'll get some gems. And I agree with you. If they don't make any more moves, then to me they know they're moving to their next phase. Is make sure they're going to go run the tape on all their players they're scouting and make sure they solidify who they're drafting. And they got 3 third-round picks, and I think they can go hit the damn nail on the head on those picks. Or if they really want to, they can package those and then move up and go get a fucking stud in the second round. That's
what I'm saying. That's why I say if they make a move for another guy in the edge, then you go into the draft. You could essentially say, you know what, we're going to move in the second round. We're going to go get a right tackle.
Yeah.
Then you've essentially cemented both lines. It's really, you play football in the trenches, right?
Yeah.
If you cement your right tackle, now you have, was it not Brunskill? Is it Brunskill? No, it's not Brunskill. It's now you have McKivitz essentially now he goes back to where he's supposed to be, which is backup.
Swing tackle.
If they both in camp, the second round guy comes out and he's just head and shoulders above. That's why I say I would love to see one more move on free agency.
Yeah, because then you don't have to worry about the edge.
Maybe they bring in a right tackle in free agency. Now in the draft, they can go edge. You know what I mean?
I think it makes more sense to go edge because there's a little bit more, there's players, like you said, like Justin Houston, that are very consistent, and I'd be okay with that.
There's a lot of guys out there.
There's a lot of guys out there that you can get. Right tackle is kind of a position where like you really want to make sure you get it right. And if you can draft the right guy, you got a guy on your team for probably a couple good years. And there's a guy that if the 49ers get an edge, if they go get Justin Houston or whatever the case is on that side, they can trade up and they can go get Cody Mock. To me, if you get Cody Mock on this team with Trent Williams on that right there, you have the jet. I mean, to me, he's the best right tackle in this draft. And if you can get him,
you solidify your line. And you essentially got a swing tackle, and now you got Burford and Banks. You got Burford in his second year, Banks in his third, essentially growing into themselves. Burford, to me, I didn't really have any expectations last year, and he played well. Banks, I was like everybody else, give him another shot.
Yeah.
And I was right. I don't like ever, doing the receipt thing where I'm like, told you, but I was like telling people, I'm like, give Banks, let him grow into his NFL body. I like a lot of these guys come into the league and they got that college nutrition and that college way of doing things.
Yeah.
And then they get a trainer. And then they get into a weight room and all of a sudden their body transforms and now they look like they can withstand. That's why I think Drake Jackson, he looked like a college, like a hefty college player with some movement and skill, but I didn't see that like defined body or a guy that looked like he can essentially lift up a right tackle and toss him to the side kind of dude. And so if he comes in this year, or in months from now, and has gotten his body in the right shape, and he can learn another pass rush move instead of just running forward, and bending, I think we're going to be. This is an exciting time of year because nothing's on the line, and we can just spitball and talk about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And in our minds, we can get really excited and then get disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Yeah, you'd be like, "Oh man!" But then if you're right, like you said, you can say, "Oh, I told you so."
Like the fact we got Hargrave, I was not expecting that at all.
Oh my God, that was.
I'm like, if this is how it's gonna start, and then it kind of.
I was like, I was in a chokehold. I was like, oh, the Niners got me.
There was like 6 or 8 of you guys that posted it, including yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I think it's real. So then I went and I refreshed, and then the Mayokas, and I'm like, okay, we're good to go here. I can make a little short. If I post
breaking news, it's legit, baby.
You're right, but I had to make sure, though, because like, what if somebody got a hold of your account or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
Double check, but I haven't missed an update yet, so just stay tuned. But I will say this: I agree with what you said on that. Is Aaron Banks really took his second year? His first year, he was injured. They had Laken Thompson. He was doughy. He just looked like he wasn't going to be a good player. And I was one of the people that was like, I don't know about Aaron Banks. And you're right. You're absolutely right. And now I look at it as, you know what? The first year, these players are coming in from college. They haven't even hit the NFL weight room.
No.
You got to give them a little bit of a chance, especially on the line, because they got to learn technique and everything. Second year, man, you could tell. Like last year, I remember when he posted something on the offseason, I was like, is that Aaron Banks? I was like, whoa, he was like defined, muscular. I was like, what? He transformed himself. So I think if Drake Jackson can transform himself, hit himself in that weight room, which he's, posting on his IG, he's always in the weight room. He can take a leap just like Aaron Banks. I'm expecting Drake to take that year 2 leap, that Hufanga that Aaron Banks did. And I think he'll be good. But again, I still agree with you. Just go get one more lineman that's a veteran, that's consistent, because he can teach Drake Jackson those pass rush moves, because he was learning from Ebicam, who he's talked about, who's battering ram. He needs to learn from a guy that has technique.
And that guy who just runs into a tackle. I want to see if that could actually get around a tackle once in a while. But
yeah, I'm great. But it's been a fun off season. I hope we get one more. But I think that's going to wrap it up, my man. I appreciate you for hopping on. I like this Wednesday so far. 2 weeks in a row. I think this is a normal thing. Wednesdays with Aaron. Our SF 49er first takes. It's
we're gonna have to get a name for it, like Wednesdays with Raj, or
we got to make a name. I don't know.
First and Raj, or
First and Raj. I don't know. That's.
But then I already have First and Ted, so that would be kind of like.
I don't want to infringe on you guys. We can do our first take Niners or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. First
Wednesdays
take.
with Raj sounds really easy, but
It's
then we're discounting me. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no, we can't. You're very important. We can do like, I don't know, man. We got to come up with a name. We definitely got to
Come
come
on,
up with
guys in the
something.
chat, freaking
Yeah,
hit me
you
up on
guys let
my
us know.
community tab and tell me what the nickname's going to be.
Give us a name, man. Maybe we got to take a poll or something. The next time we need a show next Wednesday when we come live. We need you guys to give us a show name. Come on, man.
That's your response. That's your judiciary responsibility.
Please. So here's the thing. Okay, at the end of the show, when it's live and it's on my YouTube channel, in the comments, give us some name. I need you guys to fill the comment section of this live video when it's posted on YouTube with names, and me and Aaron will go through and we'll pick the best one. So
I like Raj and the outtakes.
Raj and the outtakes.
Raj and takes. Raj and his takes. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. We got it. We got to have a good name, man. It doesn't even have to create our names in it. It's just something cool. You guys drop some comments, and it'll actually help us out too. Because
old lion, young lion. I don't know.
Old lion. I mean, I'm not that much younger than you.
Oh, how old are you?
I'm gonna be 39 in April.
Okay, you're not that much younger than me.
Yeah.
I'm 30. I'm 43. You're right. You're like one of my best friends growing up. He's like 4 years younger than me, and I just realized that like I met him when I was
man. I just got
12 or 13.
I just got good genes. I look younger than I am.
You do. You got great hair too. I was like, man, I saw you without your hat the other day. I'm like, I have nice hair too if I gel it, but straight jet black hair versus red hair. The jet black hair. When I was little, I loved Superman, so I was telling my mom because I used to get made fun of for my red hair. I'm like, I want to dye my hair black because black is so sleek and beautiful. But you know, I got my red hair. It's still. Listen, I'm 43 years old and I have no balding. I just have a big forehead, so we're good.
You got good hair, man. You know, for what it's worth, you got good hair, man. I like it.
I appreciate that. I don't got much grays either. Like you have to search for them.
I got a lot of grays. I'll tell you, I got gray. It don't look like
that's the thing with black hair. If you have a black beard too, your 5 o'clock shadow literally comes in like 20 minutes after you shave.
No, 100%.
Mine,
man.
if you come up to it, you can feel it. But I always look like a plastic face for a while because I'm so pale.
No, I got
like,
the
what
hair.
happened?
I got the grays. When I'm stressed out, you could just see it's like, bro, you are stressed. Yeah, it's grays, man. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I did over the weekend did something with my skin. I don't know if they told me not to put on lotion or anything. I don't know if it's something with the anesthesia or whatever. Then you break out of my forehead a little bit. But I don't know.
It's not good. Probably anesthesia. But get well, man. I'll send you those exercises later for your
definitely.
Knee. Make sure you rest it up, ice it, compression. You know the vibes.
Yeah, I got another day or two where I just got to kind of lay low, but then I can start kind of moving it. Because right now I'm like in my leg's in this mode, like because it's in a wrap.
Yeah.
I have to walk up left foot first sideways up the stairs because if I try to walk the other way, I'm like, I'm gonna tip forward here, and then we're gonna have a whole other issue.
Then you're gonna have
like double broken arms and a jammed up leg. So.
You don't want that, man. Yeah, be careful, man. Be careful. I'll send you those exercises later, and I appreciate you, Aaron. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my boy. Tell him where to find you, Aaron.
49ers First Takes on Twitter, 49ers First Takes on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Aaron Labigan, Labigan, first name Aaron, Aaron, biblical, Aaron. Twitter is 49ers First Takes. Right now, it's Mondays with the NWO guys. Wednesdays are now, I guess, going to be, because it's usually me and Ted. Yeah. We swap channels. And now with Raj. And I was working on something for Friday, but I'm probably going to start doing something on Thursday as long as he can do it with Sterling Bennett, who works at KNBR, 49er Access.
Yeah.
He's super busy, and I kind of put it out there as a joke. And he's like, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Because you guys are all busy. And like when I ask and I put it out there and you're like, yeah, let's actually do that. I'm like, you're kidding, right? Like I was kind of being facetious. So, yeah.
But when you got a vibe with something, like I feel like we have a good vibe and it's a good show. And I just want to keep
I'm kind of a goofy nerd and you're really smart. So, it all works.
It goes well, man. It's a good combo, man. So I got some comments that people are giving us for the names. Please make sure you guys comment this in the video when we're done. And make sure you, not on these comments, these are great, but make sure you drop it in because we're going to review these. So we got the Golden Hour with Raj and First Takes. That's pretty nice.
Ooh.
We got Talking Heavy with Raj. That's pretty good. I like the Golden Hour It is what it is. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good show names.
I'm
so please.
liking the golden hour. I'm gonna have to have if we go with that, I'm gonna have to have Black Solutions, my man, what's his name?
Roscoe's. We got to get him
Roscoe's.
like a cool video. Yeah, like a cool. We got to revamp the intro. We got to get.
We could do a retake on Beavis and Butthead, and instead of but you know, it'll be our heads on the bodies. No, don't do that.
I like it. I like it. But please make sure you guys like. Please make sure you comment those names in the video later. So please make sure you do that. I'm excited, man. Wednesdays with my boy Aaron. This has been a fun free agency, and let's keep hoping there's more news. But with that, we are out, faithful. We love you. Have a good rest of your night, man.
Bye, guys.
Take care.